Okay, good morning, everybody. So first of all, good morning from our attendees from EMEA. Good afternoon in the Asian part, and also maybe good morning, early morning from our participants, or we have attendees from North American region. By way of introduction, my name is Jason. I'm a system sales specialist from Broadcast Solution. I'm based here in Singapore. And today's topic is about our the AI-driven sports production. So we have our guests here, and before we go into the topic, I would like to introduce our guest, Mark Andrews from Mobile Viewpoint. Mark, can you introduce yourself?
Sure. Good afternoon to you, Jason, in Singapore, and a good morning from the Netherlands, where I'm based. My name is Mark Andrews. I'm the Global Sales Manager here at Mobile Viewpoint, and yeah, I'm here to talk this morning about our IQ Sports Production Platform.
Okay, so before we start, just some housekeeping. Everybody's muted, so you can you can talk, you can do whatever you want. On the bottom of your screen, there's a Q&A box, so you can leave your question there, and then later on, after the webinar, we will go through all the questions, and hopefully we'll answer them, all of them. Okay, so there's me just, so I'm sharing my screen now. Okay, so before we go into the topic, let me just a few slides to introduce our company, so Broadcast Solutions. So let me go to the other slides. Okay, yeah. Yeah, so Broadcast Solutions, we are established 15 years ago. We have our HQ in Bingen, Germany. So it's a few minutes drive from Frankfurt. We have around 160 employees across 10 countries. So earlier, on my earlier slides, you see the flags of the countries. So we have a strong presence in Europe, and also an office in Dubai, and also here in Singapore, where we are catered on the Asian region. So more about our company. So Broadcast Solution, actually, we are we've been known for building OB trucks. In the past few years, we've been building. We have delivered more than 250 mobile trucks in different sizes, different configuration, satellite, DSNG, OB trucks, production OB trucks, in all sizes. So that's why Broadcast Solution is well experienced and have a long line of history of delivering OB trucks. And also on OB trucks, on top of that, we have also been delivering fixed installations. So these are, TV stations, TV studios, production facility, radio stations, post-productions, news, NRCS, archiving systems, satellite head-end, IPTV solutions, you name it, arena, sports arena. So Broadcast Solution has been building also quite extensively, high-profile projects, which are quite $1 million worth in government and in private sector. And also in our company, we have our own research development. So we have our own control and monitoring software solutions, but I will not touch more into that. Also, Broadcast Solution, we have another division which we call governmental communications, which I will also touch a little bit in a while. Yeah, so again, Broadcast Solution. So we are one of the world's biggest OB truck or OB van manufacturer. We have conceptualized this what we call the Streamline family. It's an approach that we have customized our vehicles. So this is a starting point that we use to talk with our customers. From here, we can customize them, depends on the customer requirements. So you can see from your screen, it starts from as small as an S4 up to S16. But if you go to our website, you will see that there's more different models and another category where there's for the IP-based OB trucks. So I'll not also discuss more about this, but yeah, this is our And also in what you can see on the screens these are some of our deployments. So you see the scales of the project that we're doing. On your left side, you'll see that it's an RTM OB truck that we just recently delivered. In the middle, one of the highlights of one of the biggest projects that we also undertake is in Sochi Winter Olympics in Russia, and also some more photos of our OB trucks that we have delivered. Yeah, some more different sizes. The full, we call it the full expando. You see some of the interior of our OB trucks. And yeah, and also as I mentioned, we also build fixed facilities, master control room, production studios, data centers. Yeah, some reference from them. Yeah, and also as I mentioned earlier, so we have another division, broadcast solution, which we call governmental communication. So in GovCom, we have been delivering and creating solutions for command and control system for civil and defense security. So these are typical will be an HQ with a master control room, a vehicle type, or a flight case type of command. Yeah. And then also we have this what we call this tactical area network to support field communications systems. So these are wireless mesh networks based on CFDM, MIMO technologies, body-worn, vehicle-mounted, naval or airborne applications. So we our solutions was catered for surveillance teams, special operation teams, dignitary protection teams, tactical protection teams, coast guards, search and rescue, firefighter, undercover. So these are some of the areas that our GovCom team has been providing a solution for. And yes, again, some of the reference, some of the photos that you can see some of our projects and also some of our, the POC that we have done in Europe, in Middle East, and also in Asia. Yeah, so talk about I just want to quickly go through with this because we are a system integrator company. So in broadcast solution, we have our methodology of our project. So this is a typical project timeline. So where we call it the conceptualization, the execution, and then we deliver it, and then we completed the project. So in broadcast solutions, all our OB trucks, our facilities, our governmental communication projects are all based in our project methodology. Where we have a project manager, an expert in every field of in area for constructions, for AV, for networking, for couch building, for electrical, heating, and air conditioning. So you name it. So in broadcast solutions, we are serious in our projects. Yeah. And then so to highlight our core business, again, we have mobile products, fixed facility, customer care, innovations, our governmental communication, and also lastly, I want to highlight products. So broadcast solution, we don't we also represent innovative and high-tech products in all across our offices. So this is why I would like to introduce that started in 2018, Broadcast Solution and Mobile Viewpoint have our cooperation, and we've been representing them and in a lot of countries. For me here in Asia, we manage the distribution, so we have a network here of partners, distributors that we work with in promoting and selling mobile viewpoints. So we have a very strong and good relationship with them. Some of our activities in Asia, so we do Broadcast Asia, ABU, so we go to so some of the local trade shows here. We do a lot of POC with the customers for streaming services, specifically on the streaming services of mobile viewpoints. We also done a lot of deployments in some of the key customers here in Asia. And on top of the streaming solution of Mobile Viewpoint, Mark will discuss the AI side of their business, and I will hand now the presentation to Mark. So let's over to you now, Mark.
Thank you, Jason. If you'd like to stop sharing your screen, that'd be great. Thank you so much. So yes, Mark Andrews, Mobile Viewpoint, based in Alkmaar, which is about 25 kilometers north of Amsterdam. We're a technology company, and obviously Jason was talking about some of the key things that Broadcast Solutions are doing. So for the last 10 years, we've actually been major innovators and developers in the mobile encoding market. So for outside broadcast, remote productions, for people who want to live stream over multiple cellular networks. So there's quite a good sort of synergy between us, and as Jason's in Singapore, but actually we're selling across with Broadcast Solutions, you know, across the whole of Europe and the UK as well. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to share my screen as well. I've got a short PowerPoint presentation, which I will share. If I just come up with this. And then I will show some examples as well. So as a company, since 2008, we've been really innovators in this sort of portable backpack encoders, but also fixed encoders, which could go in an OB truck. So whether it's news gathering, sports production, other live outdoor event, music festivals, what have you, but also in many security applications for the police who need to do sort of mobile surveillance. That's really what we've been doing for the last 10 years. And as a company here in the Netherlands, we do all our sales, support, development, testing. It's all done in the same building. So we always argue one of our strengths as a company is that we listen to our customers. If there's specific features that you're looking for, then we can address that. We're not trying to be a faceless corporate. But in the last couple of years, we've sort of taken another direction, if you like. We're carrying on with our core business, which is the encoder market. But we've also started looking at AI technology, artificial intelligence. And two of the products that we've developed, one's called Viewpoint, and the other's called IQSP. And what they both have in common, really, is the ability to make professional productions, but for people who are on a bit of a budget and limited resource. And the whole point is you no longer need camera people. So the AI, the artificial intelligence, is replacing the need for camera people. So with the encoder market, with the OB market, you send an OB truck to site. And for the tier one, the professional productions, that will carry on. But actually what AI is really enabling is the ability for people in the past who didn't have the resource or the budget to create their own professional productions. Now they can. So with the sports production, so IQSP stands for IQ Sports Production. What's that enabling is the ability for the tier 2, tier 3, tier 4 leagues, sort of grassroots sports, maybe other sort of unique, sort of slightly off the wall type of sports who want to do live streaming, but in the past couldn't do that. And now all of a sudden with AI, it opens up a whole new world of possibility for these people. So actually what I'm going to do now is just stop sharing, and I'm going to show you some examples of the IQSP in action. And all I'm going to do is actually go to a website, YouTube, in fact. I'm just going to share this screen, which is my whole screen. Just bear with me a second. Here we go. So hopefully you can see a browser, and I'm just going to show some examples of the AI in action. So what we have here with IQSP is the ability to live stream sports. So it could be indoor sports, outdoor sports, and here with basketball, we're showing an indoor sport, but no camera people on site. Now, I will just warn you, at my end, this video is quite smooth, but I'm aware with Zoom, it kind of takes some of the frames out, so it might not be as smooth as I can see it. But what we can do is share these YouTube links, and you can see the sports for yourself in action. But the whole point of IQSP is to create this professional sports production. So here we have the countdown, we have the scoreboard overlay. In the top left-hand corner, you can have graphics and that sort of thing. But actually, the other thing we can do is do highlights, automatic highlight detection. So in terms of sports, I'm showing basketball here, but let me show you some of the other sports. Here we actually have women's football. So this is actually Manchester City, and it's one of the women tournament. It's a cup. And again, I talk about tier 2, tier 3 sports, but other opportunities includes a lot of the women's sports, for example, who in the past may not have had the resource or budget to have a camera production crew. But also for the under 21s, the under 18, the youth games, but also training games. So we're in fact used by Ajax and Porto, for example, we're not trying to replace those tier 1 productions, but we're opening up other opportunities, like in the past, they couldn't record the training games, and now they can. In fact, I don't know if you can see, but on here, we've put a little red dot over the football, so you can see see what the AI is seeing. So that's an overlay. We've just added that for your benefit, really. And again, one of the big strengths, which I can show you, is actually with ice hockey. So if you imagine with ice hockey, it's a very small puck, and it's going very quickly. And again, we've put the little red overlay over the top so you can see the puck. But again, the AI can actually track the puck in many times better than a camera person can. So what all these have in common that I'm showing you, there's no camera people on site. The whole media workflow can be done in the cloud. But we also do support broadcast workflows. So if you need HD, SDI workflows, for example, we can show that as well. But yes, especially in the times at the moment with the pandemic, with COVID, we don't want to send people to site. Again, there's added benefits there because basically you have a camera installed on location and a server installed on location, and that's that. So that's an example. So I'm just going to stop sharing this and go back to my PowerPoint so you have so you've seen an idea of what we're offering. The other product we have, vPilot, just for your interest, is a studio camera production system. And here, actually, I'm doing this webinar with our own vPilot. And if anybody's interested later on, I can actually show you a quick look behind the scenes if vPilot is something of interest as well. But both these products we're selling through Broadcast Solutions. So IQSP, what is it? So we have a camera. It's actually a panoramic camera. It has 4x4K lenses in there. And what it's doing is this panoramic view of the whole pitch. So we capture the whole of the sports, whether it's an indoor, outdoor stadium, we capture everything on the pitch. And then we send those 4 streams to a local server where we stitch and we actually de-warp the picture. And in fact, what we're creating is a software virtual camera of the action. So the AI tracks and follows the ball and the players, and will create this automatic AI-driven production, which is naturally following the ball. But there's more to it than that as well, because as well as the AI, the main production, so you might want to have a hands-off approach. You don't want to touch anything. Just let the AI do what it needs to do. Let that follow the production of the ball. That can create highlights and create a complete professional production for you. But actually, we come from a broadcast background, and many of our broadcast customers, they actually like the idea, have multiple streams. So we can have the AI as a mainstream, but we can also create up to 4 other streams as well. And you, as a director, if you want to be on site and doing directing, or remotely actually, you can do this, you can create multiple streams. So you can create your own mini production. And again, all these live streams, they can go to a local server. So the local server is where all our AI software is running, all the intelligence, the algorithm is done locally. And from there, we can then forward the live streams that are of interest. So in terms of a workflow, what does it look at? So I'm going to show you 2 workflows here. One is what we use for our broadcast customers. So I showed you the Man City one, for example, with the women's football. That was one of our customers' timeline. They do a lot of the premier productions for BT Sports, where they're doing the tier 1 football. And they were looking at solutions more for sort of the lower leagues, the tier 2. So they wanted to monetize those games, but again, with limited budget, limited resource. But what they do need is the quality. And what they also need is HD, SDI workflows at the receiving end. So what we have here is we have the camera on site, sort of semi-permanently installed, which goes to a local server. That server could be in the cloud, but you just need a very good bandwidth between the stadium and the cloud provider, which in many cases, especially with grassroots sports, they don't have that. So that's why we recommend having the server on site. But here we have the camera, the on-site server, and then we have Linkmatrix. So what is Linkmatrix? Linkmatrix is actually our own management platform. So everything you do for IQSP, you can do remotely through a portal, which we call Linkmatrix. And you can manage, and I have a slide in a minute which shows one of the interfaces of that. And then for the broadcast people at the receiving end, they can have one of our standard decoders. And from this decoder, you can either create an IP stream, whether it's RTMP, RTSP, NDI, or you can create an HD SDI if you need an SDI workflow. So the choice is yours. But in this particular instance, we're using the xCam, and I'll talk a bit more about the xCam, but this is our own manufactured camera made specifically for broadcasters. We also have the Lite version as well. So for people on a budget, maybe the grassroots sports, rather than using our camera, we can use a much lower cost security camera. And in this case, it's a Hikvision camera. Same sort of camera, 4x4K lenses, but the frame rate is lower on this one. The xCam is 60 frames per second. This one is 30 frames per second. Again, we have the local on-site server. But instead of having a decoder at the receiving end, in fact, we can offer that decoding in the cloud. So many of our Lite customers, they don't have their own broadcast station. They don't necessarily have their own OTT platform. They just want to live stream to social media, such as YouTube or Facebook. And again, using Linkmatrix, we can just push direct to social media. And again, using Linkmatrix, everything is remotely managed. So as well as the Lite version I've mentioned, we actually have the two other versions as well. So we have the Pro and then the Premium as well. And basically it goes up in cost, but also you get more feature functionality. And actually you can start small with a Lite and then you can scale upwards as you need to. So in terms of network, it's all IP based. So the camera is an IP camera. We connect that to a switch on site and then go to the server. And then you can push out to the internet. So you just need good internet connectivity. Because it's a panoramic camera and it's all 4K, you have about 80 megabits per second coming from the camera to the server. So I mentioned you can have the server in the cloud, but then you do need that good bandwidth between the camera and the cloud. So, you know, if you've got 100 megabits plus per second out of your stadium or whatever, and you want to host this somewhere else, then naturally you can do that. So I mentioned the xCam. So the xCam is our own camera. It's a 4x4K lenses. It's specifically made for the broadcast market, 60 frames per second, lots of resolution. And with the xCam, wherever you position it away from the pitch, you can basically position the lenses to cover the pitch. Because if you imagine with a panoramic camera, you're doing a virtual zoom, the more you can focus just on the pitch itself, the better. What you don't want to be doing is catching lots of sky or the stadium, the stands, because they're wasted pixels. So in the past, people would have to manually move those lenses. And what we have with the xCam Pro is actually motorized lenses. So now, again, remotely, I can just basically position this somewhere, especially in a sort of a portable setup. And then we can then mechanically move the lenses. But it has some other features as well, like iris control. If you can imagine this is outside, it might be facing into the sun. So you don't want that sort of color saturation caused by the sun. So again, using iris control on the xCam, again, we can do that. We do have iris control on the standard xCam, but it's more of a software control, whereas this is sort of more of a mechanical control as well. But this is a brand new product, and we'll be releasing this towards the end of the year. Now, the other thing that often gets overlooked is audio. And we always feel audio is kind of a pivotal part of the whole viewing experience. Obviously, it's very difficult at the moment with the pandemic going on. There's no people in the crowd, and it's a little bit strange. Some people love the audio overlay with the crowd. Some people hate it. But traditionally or typically what we have developed is this audio sound collector, and it works in pretty much the same way as the camera works as well. So we can sort of almost this sort of stereoscopic sound across the pitch. As things move across the pitch, we can capture that as well. So we're only capturing the audio where the ball is. So rather than capturing everything, we can really focus and direct where the audio needs to be coming from. And again, this is a mobile viewpoint development. So the next question I always gets asked, okay, this sounds great. How do I set it up? So the camera itself, it has to overlook the field of play. And ideally, we need it 8 to 10 meters high. So on the outdoors, if there's a friendly lamppost or something, we can put it on, or a wall or a gantry or something we can attach it to. That's quite ideal. Indoors, then obviously you can put it on a wall, what have you. In terms of distance from the pitch, we can be right on the pitch, but with the Hikvision, you can be up to 20 meters away. With our xCam, it has quite powerful zoom capability. So in fact, you can have it as far away as 50 meters. Do I need power? Not necessarily. Everything is driven, it's power over Ethernet, will run the camera. I don't know if you can see in this picture, but we actually got a Wi-Fi dish because the server was more than 100 meters away from the camera, so the cable's not going to run it, but we do have solutions where you can use a network dish. Then you will need power because you're running the network dish as well. The whole system comes with the AI server that we provide. And if you need to do SDI workflows, then we suggest having a playout server back at base, or you have the option of using our own hosted version in the cloud, which is actually a part of Linkmatrix. And again, it's very easy and intuitive to use. So you may be aware, we're not the only people doing this. There's only a few people doing this, but I certainly feel in terms of innovation and feature functionality, we are ahead of the rest. And why is that? Well, other than just the panoramic camera overlooking the field of play, you can also have side cameras too. And you can position these side cameras any way you like. So in soccer, you might have them on the third lines. You might have them behind the goals. The choice is really yours. In basketball, in the play zone, you can really have a zoomed in camera there to catch the action. So you can have up to 3 cameras, and the AI will switch automatically between them as well. So you can have a fully remote multi-camera production. And again, the AI is driving everything. I mentioned at the start, people really want to have a professional production. So when you're looking at sports production, it's not just the game, you want the scoreboard overlay, but you also want automatic highlights and you want the replays too. And again, this can be done automated. So once you schedule a game to start, you can really have a hands-off approach and just let it do everything. We have the xCam. Again, many of our competitors, they're just using the standard security cameras. So with the xCam, you really get the level of quality that you'd expect from a broadcast production. We have the high frame rate and the high resolution. OCR overlay, what does that mean? So the optical character recognition. So with the scoreboard, you have an option. One is you can manually do the scoring through Linkmatrix. So there's an interface for that. But if there is a scoreboard of the pitch, we can actually direct a virtual camera just onto the scoreboard, and we can do an OCR of that scoreboard and actually overlay that automatically onto the screen as well. We support up to 5 different streams. I mentioned that near the beginning. Everything's managed via Linkmatrix, and in terms of packages, we have the Lite to the Pro to the Premium, depending on what you need, really. So we do encourage you, and if this sounds of interest, by all means, come talk to us. And we can discuss your needs, requirements, and what best suits you. So this is Linkmatrix. So Linkmatrix is our management platform, and we actually provide it completely free of charge. We provide this with our encoders, if you want to manage all the encoders, and we've basically evolved it now to manage IQSP. And so you can be remotely, you can be at home on the sofa, it's all done through a browser, and you can manage this accordingly. So what I'm showing here is just one of the pictures. We've got the game playing, you can see the live stream. On the right-hand side, we have the scoreboard, which you can do automatically. We have an enable OCR checkbox there, so if you want to create a virtual camera, you can do as well. On the left-hand side, you can manually or automatically create highlights. So what I'm doing here now is that I can set up a highlight. So now it's going from the live, it's now gone back to the replay. It'll play the replay for a few seconds. And then again, it'll go back to the live stream as well. And obviously you've got the logos and everything to make it look like a professional production. But within Linkmatrix, I can schedule the different games and scoreboard, everything you can basically do through Linkmatrix. And that's it, really. So one thing we do have, we have a couple of things online that you can look at. One is a Facebook page. It's a closed page, so you need to request to have access. But we often put a lot of the live streams that we're doing at any moment in time, and we display that on Facebook, quite a few of the things from AX and Porto. We don't own the media rights of that. So that's why it's a closed Facebook account. But if you're interested in seeing some of the live games, there's no marketing gimmickry going on. What you see is actually what's being delivered. So you can see that. Also the YouTube, again, we can send the link, which I was showing you at the start, which shows some of the games, and we'll add to some of those games as well. And actually, Jason, that's me done.
Okay, thank you, Mark. That was a very good presentation. So let me just quickly check the Q&A box. Okay, it's good. You know, we don't have questions, so it's either we presented very well, and all of them, yeah, I understand it. Yeah. Okay.
One of the questions we often get asked, Jason, is who owns the media right?
Yeah.
So with our technology, you own the media rights. We never take ownership of that. And you're free to do what you like with it. But quite often, some people, they actually do want to subsidize what they want to create an income from their media. And often they will stick it behind a paywall in order to do that. So something that we have been asked is, you know, can you create a paywall? And we actually have one coming. And again, the difference between us and perhaps one of our competitors is that they create a paywall and they maintain ownership of the media rights. So if all of a sudden you want to do stuff with your own media, you can't. And the whole idea, it funds the technology, but you get very little back in terms of return. So we're trying to take a different approach to that. We can create a paywall, but actually most of the money, most of the people who are subscribing to watch your games, it does actually come back to you. So all of a sudden you can start to monetize your content and get money back accordingly, but you importantly still maintain the media rights.
Yeah. Okay. So we have some question now coming in. So okay. So first question is what exactly do we buy? So I think earlier Mark showed the components of the IQ. So the question mark is what exactly do we buy? Is it a server or?
Yeah, no. So it's the camera. So you buy the camera and the server. And with that, you can create the AI and you get a free Linkmatrix account. So the portal in Linkmatrix where you do everything to manage the games and one thing and another. So with the camera, with the server and Linkmatrix, all you need to do is install the camera, run in the Ethernet connectivity, and you're good to go.
Okay, that's good. So we have another question here. So this one is a good one. What type of sports do we support or IQSP supports?
Yeah, so we support a range of games. Many of the ball games. So for example, obviously we have soccer. We also have rugby. We've been asked a lot for rugby, volleyball, some of the indoor games, basketball, ice hockey, netball. We also have something called handball, which is quite big in Scandinavia where they're throwing the ball around. And there's another sport called floorball, which is like hockey, but indoors on the floor. But it's a good question because we're also looking at constantly innovating and adding sports. So if there's a particular sport that you want to add, we can actually train the system and add that. And in fact, one of the things we have been asked to do is horse racing and horse jumping and dressage. So actually right now we have a camera set up at an equestrian center where we're training the system to understand what a horse is. And actually it's working really well. So it can track the horse, you can do the horse jumping. And the trick is when you've got other horses around to ignore those horses, it must only focus on this one. And another sport, we've been working actually with the Olympic training team in Holland, in the velodrome with the cycling. So we're tracking the cyclists going around a velodrome. And often you have two cyclists as well. So we have to train the AI for that as well. But so the sports are coming thick and fast. So what I would say, you know, if there is a particular sport you're interested in, then, you know, please engage with us.
Yeah. Reach us out. So, okay. Thank you, Mark. So we still have some few more questions here. Someone asked about the pricing. So later on, I will post our email addresses for the sales. So from there, you can ask us for the correct pricing. Okay. What kind of internet connection is needed for the?
Yeah. So if you're doing everything on site, so if you've got the server on site as well, then actually it depends how many streams you want to do, but you can actually set the bit rate. coming out the server. So typically 4 or 5 megabits per second is the lowest you want to go. Obviously, the higher the bit rate, the better quality. So normally you get away with 10 megabits per second. If you want to do multiple streams, then obviously you need to add to that as well. But 10 megabit, you can go as low as 5, but 10 is normally good enough.
Yeah, and also it would be good to note that on earlier, Mark showed some diagrams. So on the receiving side, for example, you're hosting your own, you want an SDI output, so you'll get a playout decoder. So this side will need a fixed public IP address. Yeah, so those are the kind of requirements we need for our installation. Okay, next question. Is the camera waterproof? I believe it's yes. Is it IP68, 67 or something?
Yep. So it is waterproof. The whole idea of the camera is, this is where it changes a little bit with the xCam, but they're both, everything's waterproof, and it's often semi-permanently installed outside as well. And if you can imagine when it's raining or you've got fog, what you're in danger is actually the lenses misting up. So within the xCam, we also have ventilation, so we blow air onto the lenses to keep it clear. But yeah, they're totally weather resistant. They are waterproof, absolutely.
Okay, last 2 questions. Do I have to do installation on my own, or is it included in your service? Oh, okay. That's one is for broadcast solution. So yeah, it will be. I mean, it's a service cost from broadcast solution. So it will be a full turnkey solution if you get it from broadcast solution. Yeah.
Sure. I think you've got a choice, haven't you? If you've got the skills, you can do it yourself. But
you get the choice,
also you can call on your services to do that as well.
Yeah. Okay, we have a last question here. Can you exactly explain how we get our stream on Facebook or YouTube with your system?
Yeah, so it's all done within Linkmatrix. So you can basically you create what's called an event. So an event is where you go in and you put all your Facebook or your YouTube details with the URL and information. And then within Linkmatrix, you can actually see your live streams coming in, and you literally, there's a drag and drop, and you just drag it onto that event, which could be Facebook or YouTube, and then you're live. So it's as easy as that. So you can decide when you're going live, when you're not going live. But yeah, it's all done through the Linkmatrix portal.
Yeah, Linkmatrix. It's a very powerful cloud service from mobile Viewpoint. Okay, one more question. We still have time to answer this, right? So, how can I archive the pictures even when I'm not live in Facebook, or you're not streaming it to CDN? Does the server have an internal storage for recording? Or
yeah, it does. So you can record it locally, and it's an interesting question because we can also record the whole panoramic of what's going on the whole pitch. So you can save that. And one of the advantages of that is, we might have the AI following the ball, but maybe something happened with the referee or something happened with the goalie that wasn't on the AI. You can actually then later on go into the recording and say, okay, show me what was happening with the referee. And this is where you can create your own virtual camera anywhere of the panoramic recording. So I'm going to go back and create, okay, between 5 and 10 minutes, I just want to look at the referee, and you can follow him and do that. So the great thing about the panoramic is you never miss anything. It's always there. It's always recorded. So you can record that locally and then create those streams. You can upload those streams and do whatever you want with them later, record them wherever you like, either in the cloud, on your local computer, wherever.
Okay, and there's no more question in our inbox, and I think okay, so let me just share my screen and post our contact details. Yeah, so on this note, Mark, thank you very much for your time, and early morning, a lot of questions for you, and it's
That's
good
very welcome. Yeah,
to be able to answer all of them.
I need
it. Yeah, so for all our attendees, if you want to reach us, so you have our email posted now, so you can reach us from whichever region you are. You can reach us to Broadcast Solutions or from Mobile Viewpoint. And again, from this note, thank you very much, and we'll see you again, guys, next time until our next webinar. Thank you again, Mark, and thank you, guys. Stay safe.
Yep. Thanks,
Bye, everyone.
Goodbye.